So here we go. This is our fourth time, I think this week, maybe it's our fifth time. No, it's our fourth time, isn't it? Because we weren't doing it Monday. Reading one of these stories from Rudin's collection of short stories called Strange Occurrence in the Region of the Heart. So we're starting off with the very first story, which is called Lautréamont. At least that's how I'm pronouncing it. So let's go over to my Kindle and have a look at the very first page. Here we go. So I'll be reading both sides on this page here, on the left side to start with, obviously, then the right side. And then I'll hand over to Ruslan and you'll finish off the rest of the story. So this is roughly half of the story on the open to us here now. So I'll start off then. So it's titled Lautréamont. Here we go. So at the very beginning of the century, when the internet had not yet been banned, a curious work came into my hands by an unknown inventor who claimed that he had constructed an instrument which could transmit small uniform objects any distance using existing lines of communication. In his article, the author described in detail the operating principles of this device, presented some drawings, and declared that the first experiments had been successful. He had managed to transmit a silver ingot of about 10 grams from his laboratory in France to his other laboratory in Argentina. The silver atoms had been turned in the transformer into streams of free electrons, protons, and neutrons, and passed through the wires to the same apparatus at the other end of the world, where they were once again turned into atoms. The system of equations describing the process took up millions of pages, and it was hard for me to imagine what kind of genius this was that could fill up so many reams of paper. After a few years, when scientific and technological progress had been tweaked and refined a bit more, it had become possible to transmit products made of different materials in the same way. Online trading reached its peak, and the level of well-being was measured by the size of individual transformers. The process of transmitting objects, which had previously taken years, Lautréamont spent 10 years to Lautréamont needed 10 years to transmit his silver ingot to Argentina, took only hours, then only seconds, as new transference technologies were invented. After Lautréamont became the richest man in the world, he began to control its destiny. Transformation predetermined a new phenomenon: compilation. I'll stop there. So these are your first three words here, I think. I think you had
Yeah,
this
okay.
last time actually. So there was no, and I'll just turn over for you. So there was no, and it's over to you, Ruslan. Over to you. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. There was no longer any need to move elementary practicals over a great distance. Since a method had been discovered of com, of complement any object out of elements that were all around. So piles of metal, polymers, and other materials were transformed in a second into cars, microwaves, and refrigerators. The omnipotent Lautréamont declared the start of a new post-information age of civilization. Energy, uh, energy produced by mankind mankind used to operate Templars on a global scale, almost equaled the cost of lighting, heating, movement of all models of transport, maintenance of life, and production of all kind of goods, including the uh, tem- Templars themselves. Only a few more years were needed before this process would be redundant, when all energy would be used for completion. The law of conservation of matter had an appended section known as Lautréamont's theorem, according to which matter exists in the form of information. 10 years went by after I first read Lautréamont's article. When the great inventor announced that he had successfully transformed transformed a living object for the first time, Lautréamont himself had a, become a laboratory rat, appearing in front of the public for the first time in many years at one of Buenos Aires arenas, what his back to the enthusiastic audience and not showing his face. Father Time el- elapsed, and the whole universe was presented in the front of m- mathematical e- equations and prepared for transformation or uh, completion. And so Lautréamont declared himself God, and every turn he was created new universe, universe in uh, piles of old ones, where the cosmos is changed according to the law known only to him. As before, no one saw his face, and soon everyone stopped saying his name. The theorem appended to the law on the uh, conversation of matter became known simply as its part 2.
Over.
Not long ago, the great inventor banned the internet, and we can only guess what he might be doing now. Soon everyone will forget the real state of things, and the greatest invention of our century will become another legend.
Hmm. That was a very good reading. I loved how at the end here you slowed down, which was a great way of adding emphasis to the end of the story. It was very good, very well read.
Thank you.
So it's a great way to communicate. When you come to the end of the story, you slow down and it allows people to feel that's the end, and allows people to think about it a bit more. That's very good. Very good. I loved how you said this word here. So maintenance, that can trip people up. You said you were spot on. I love that. It was very good. Maintenance.
Yeah,
Um,
but at the middle, I was
yeah.
uh, a little bit mistaken in a pronunciation
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's to be
of some
expected,
words.
though,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Well, notice this word over here too. So the very first time you had this word, it tripped you up, but you've got it now pretty much, I would say. So equations, equations, a bit like equals. Do you want to say it once more? So equations.
Equations.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's very good. Very good. Well done. So what were those words where you think you tripped up a bit then, where you weren't too sure about? There was a couple, there always is, but
Yeah, yeah, there
even
was
I
a
even I
couple.
had trouble. No, you'll go. You'll go.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Omnipotent
Oh
or
yes.
like
Well, that's actually pretty good, actually. That's it. So omnipotent. So we
omnipotent.
say om, then it's we say sort of say nip, omnipotent, omnipotent. That's sort of how we say it.
Yeah,
Omnipotent. Do you want to give it a go?
om omnipotent,
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Omnipotent, omnipotent. I think you've got that.
omnipotent.
Yes. The trick now is remembering it, though.
Yeah, yeah, you
So,
know,
so that
because
that's why I say write some of these words down. Not perhaps not all of them, but the ones you want to learn, and work out, practice them again in an hour or 2 hours time, or at least once before you go to bed, but also in tomorrow as well, a couple of times during the day. And that's the way how you really sort of put things into your mind, sort of thing, sort of semi-permanently, anyway. Um,
yeah, and as well
mm.
above of this, there is the word like compiling.
Oh
Yeah,
yes, yeah. So,
com-
yeah. So that's up here, isn't it? But can we
yeah.
just go back to the omnipotent? So,
Ah,
but what
yeah,
does that
okay.
word mean? What does it actually mean, though?
It just means that this word
Hmm.
only related to the God
Ah,
because
yes.
yeah, it describe his power
That's
and
it. Yes.
possibility.
That's it. Yes. Yes. Well done. Very good. Very good. That's it. Okay. Yeah. And you were saying about compiling. Yes, that is it. And there's several different versions of the same word, isn't there? So there's compiling up there. I know down the bottom there's this compilation. That's down there where my cursor is, and there was one in the middle. Well, wasn't there? Oh, there it
Yeah,
is there,
yeah,
and there's a third one here. So compilers. So it's the same basic root word. So when you put something together, piece by piece, you're compiling it. So that's compiling with the ing on the end.
compiling. Yeah, okay,
Compiling, and the person who is doing it, if someone's controlling it, you can say they are the compiler, the compiler,
compiler,
and the act of doing it, you could say, is compilation. Compilation.
compilation.
So, do you want to run through them again then? So, what's that
Yeah,
one again there?
compilation,
Spot on, and that one.
compiler,
That's it. Yeah,
compilers.
yeah, plural, I suppose. Yes, that's true. And that one.
uh, com, uh, uh, compiling,
Yeah, that's it.
compiling,
Yes, that's it. Yeah, that's it. You've got it. That's it. You're very good, actually. So compiling, compiling, compilers, the person who does it, or people who do it, and the thing itself, compilation. The thing once it's been
compilation.
made is the compilation, I guess. So I suppose in this case here with the compilers, he's calling the machine itself, the thing that does it's the special machine, is that he's calling that the compiler, isn't he? So I said that was a person, but it could be the person or the machine itself. You don't normally think of it as a machine, as a compiler, I suppose. But
mm,
any other words? So that's this side over here. Was there anything on this other side over here?
mhm. Let me see. I would like to repeat it from yesterday.
Hmm.
Laboratory, laboratory.
Yeah,
Is it
when you
is
read that
okay? Yeah.
out, yeah, that was it. That's it. Yeah, that's very good. Yes, laboratory. Yeah, that's it.
Ah,
Laboratory.
laboratory,
Yeah,
laboratory.
I think when you read it out, that's what you said, basically. Yes,
Ah,
that
yeah,
was good. I was impressed when you read
laboratory,
it. Yeah, yeah, that's good.
laboratory. Yeah, and
Yeah.
where in enthusiastic.
That's pretty. That's
Is
how I
okay.
would
Yeah,
say it. Yeah,
is
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So let me say it for you. So enthusiastic, enthusiastic. Yeah, that's good. Maybe the next word. I think I know.
Oh,
Did notice the next word. So what's that one there?
yeah. Audience,
Oh, spot
audience.
on. That's it. Spot on. Yes, audience. Yeah. If you remember, yesterday we were saying about the AU. Whenever you see AU at the beginning of a word, it's almost always sounds like an like OR or audience. Yeah, that's it. You've got it. Well done. And I noticed this word here. I think you said it a couple of times, but by the end you
Yeah.
actually had it. You said it perfectly, I thought. So do you want to just practice it again? This one word here.
And, uh, ellipse, ellipse.
You were better when you read it out the first time. So it's almost there. So you're saying ellipsed. It's more like
Uh,
elapsed. Elapsed.
elapse. Oh,
Elapsed.
I don't know actually what does it mean.
Ah, okay. But often you use it when it's with time. So when time passes, you can say time elapsed. Time elapsed. So as time goes by, you can say time is elapsing. It's another way of saying that.
Mm,
And I can't really think of any other way of using the word actually. Elapsed. If you say something's elapsed, you can say the time has gone by and you can't perhaps do it anymore. You might say if you're in an exam, you might say at the very end of the exam when
yeah,
after all the time has gone by, say okay, time's elapsed. Everyone stop doing your writing your
yeah.
exam. And that's it. So that's elapsed. When something's come to an end, when it's finished, you could say it's elapsed. But it's to do with time, basically. Anything else there?
Uh, mathematical.
Yeah, that's pretty good, I would
Is
say.
that,
That's
yeah,
pretty good, yes. Um, One thing I am noticing that the TH sounds quite tricky for you. You're sort of missing
yeah.
it a bit. Yeah, we think we had that last time, didn't we? It's and a lot of words have, for English words anyway, have the th in it. And pretty much every time you see th, almost every single time, without exception, almost, it's a particular sound. Um, so do you know how what that sound is? We could probably do it now. Is probably the best thing to do.
Mm, like a fair, yeah, fair.
Um,
Mathematical.
uh, yeah, I think I was saying yesterday, if you wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah,
cheat a little bit, so let's maybe do the word. Um, so this is the word about thinking. This is to do with thinking, isn't it? We'll put T on the end. So if you're thinking, you can say you thought something.
yeah.
But
Thoughts,
if
yeah.
yes, if you want to cheat and it isn't quite right, really, you make that sound like an F, and you say, "Well, I thought about it, and I will buy a new car. I thought about it, and I can afford it, and I
Mm,
will get a new car." But the only problem is, though, it makes you sound as if you come from the East End of London, because the East End of London, people from there often use an F in that position. But
mm,
the real sound of TH is it's sort of perhaps you know this already, and I'm just telling you something already. So you to get that sound, you need to put your tongue probably out between your two teeth, as if you're sticking your tongue out at somebody, but just the tip of your tongue, the very, very tip. and just sort of blow
mm,
air over the top of your tongue, and that gets a this sort of a sound. Didn't do that very
mm,
well. So it's a
mm, uh, mm,
so it's not really a
mhm,
like an F. It's more of a
uh, uh, yeah. So,
yeah.
mm,
So there's a couple of ways you can do it. I think to start with, it's handy perhaps to start with putting your tongue out a little bit and just blowing air over the top of your tongue. So the air sort of goes along your tongue and your tongue comes like a little pipe or a channel, and your air, the air as it blows along, sort of hits the back of your teeth a bit because your tongue is sort of directing it there because your tongue is sort of sticking out a little bit of your teeth, and it makes a particular sort of a sound. So that as the sound sort of goes out, it has that sort of your teeth interrupting it, and it makes a very particular sound. Does that make sense? As the air sort of going along your
yeah,
tongue,
yeah,
and that's what
yeah.
makes the obviously the th sound. Um, but probably everybody occasionally gets it wrong a little bit, and sometimes it comes out
Mhm,
as an
mhm,
F if you're rushing. But most of the time, you really want to have it come out like a th, so a th sound. Um, so if I put another word there, if you have a fight with somebody in the past tense, so this is fought. If you have a fight with someone, when you
yeah.
say in the past tense, it's fought. I fought with my brother and sister when I was young. When I was a child, I used to have lots of fights with my kids, my brothers, should say, or whatever. So just an example. So these two words you could say sound quite similar, if not exactly the same. If you, if with the first one you make that first one sound with
Mhm,
an F, you can't tell the difference really. So you can make mistakes if you're not careful. So if I say both of these words, hopefully you'll hear there's a difference. So the first one, the top one listed there is thought, thought. And the bottom one is fault. Fault. You had a fight. Do you think you might give that a go? Is that a bit hard, or do you want to give that a little bit of a go?
uh,
So, thought is the first one. So I'm sticking my tongue out between
mm,
my teeth.
mm.
Do you want to give that top one a go,
Thought, thought,
Russell?
thought. Yeah, do you hear me? Thought, thought, thought.
Are you there?
Hey, does it sound good? Hello, hello.
I can't hear you, Ruslan.
Now is okay?
I think I can see your microphone symbol going up and down.
Oh,
Look,
probably some. Oh, hello. Do you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes,
Yeah.
it might have
Okay.
been me. I
Okay.
don't know.
Okay.
Did that
Uh,
make sense? What I was just
yes.
saying.
Yes. 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 Let me try to repeat
Hmm.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, thought, thought,
Oh, okay.
thought,
That's
and
getting there.
thought, and thought,
Yeah.
thought, thought.
Which one are you doing? I'm not quite sure.
First one is thought, thought.
Hmm. Yeah.
Second one
Hmm.
is thought,
Oh.
thought.
Yes. Yes. Your fault is pretty good. Is the better out of the two. Yeah, and you're definitely making some progress with your top one, with the th sound. Yeah. Um, but if you've never tried to make that sound before, a lot of people do struggle with it. And I would say some people, when they first start out, it might even take them years to get it because it can be so tricky.
Yeah, that's
And
so
I
long.
mentioned previously, if you remember, I think it was last week or the day before or something, and this we sort of just touched on this subject. I said that my brother tends to put an F here rather than the TH.
Ah,
My brother,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah. And so even he's older than me. Even he hasn't got the sound yet. But he probably
Mm.
did. He couldn't care less actually, so he does not bothered either way. So So, some people get it very, very quickly, and some people struggle. So I was saying about you stick your tongue out between your teeth to get the TH sound, but often when you're reading lots and lots of words, or perhaps the TH sounds in the middle of a word. So we had the word enthusiastic here, didn't we? That word there. That's
Yeah.
enthusiastic. So the TH is right in the middle. You sort of haven't got the time to stick your tongue out unless you're reading really, really slowly. And so you could sort of say in the middle of the word, what most people do is they just touch their tongue at the back of their teeth. They don't sort of stick it out. They just touch it at the back of their teeth, the top set of teeth, not the bottom set. So to get that TH, I will say N. And to get the TH, I would touch my top set of teeth with my tongue at the back. So I'll say enthusiastic. Enthusiastic like that. I don't know if that really helps a lot, but do you want to give that one a go there? So
Yeah.
enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah, yeah. I can hear you trying. That's it. That's it. That's good. Um, there are a number of sort of cheats that people do, and people from Germany. I think they might stick a V in some of these places. And my brother, yeah, I think my brother would do that, put a V sound there.
Mm.
So there's lots of little things people do to get around making the correct sound. But as I say, if you end up putting the wrong sound in there, it makes you sound a little bit German, someone might say, or you sound a little bit as if you're from the East End of London. So that's one of the
Mm.
that's why I'm sort of saying that's why it's nice to get it right, I guess really. It's consistent, I guess. Um, it's a bit tricky to do all of the words because there's so many words that do have the th. Do you think you're okay with the word the or the? Do you think you want to give
Yeah.
that? Do you want to give that a go?
And the whole universe,
Mm,
universe,
okay,
and
okay. So in some ways, you're right with what you're saying, but in the what if you think about what I've just been saying, what you're doing is you're putting a D sound
Mhm.
here. And a lot of people do actually do that, so that's why I'm saying it's right.
Mm.
But officially, if you're speaking slowly or reading slowly, and for it to sound about right, I think you do need to make that t, the same th sound in there. Um, that's what I would say anyway. It's a bit complicated languages, aren't they? So I would read this bit here as I read these four words. So and the the universe and the whole universe. I'm struggling here already, aren't I? So and the whole universe. So that's universe on the end and the
Yeah.
whole. And so with the, can you hear that sort of vibrating
The,
sound at the front? So
yeah.
that's my tongue and the air sort of blowing over along my tongue at the back of my lip tips, teeth, I should say. That's sort of a perfect the, I would suggest. A very long and drawn out one. But do you want to try and give that a go? I mean, you might not be able to get it right now, but do you want to give it a go? So,
Okay.
and the whole
And
universe.
the and the
Yeah,
and the whole university, or
yeah,
and the whole university.
yeah, yeah. That's really good. That's fantastic. That is really good. That's brilliant. Well done, well done. I have to congratulate you there. Yeah, I don't know what to say. That's very good. So there's a lot of short words that start with th. So this is obviously the, but there's also that and then. So there's loads and loads of little words like that. There's three theirs, isn't there, after all? And I'm sure you've done loads of them. So if I just put a few on the screen, do you want to just perhaps we just both run through a few of them? So that,
Yeah, yeah,
of course, there's about three there's, isn't there? So let's just do two of them.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And then, and these words are very, very common in the English language. They're always connecting, telling you who's doing what or what happened or something, aren't they? I've got a bit of a cough coming. Let me just have a quick cough. Yes, went off mic to do that. Okay, um, so I'll just do them first of all, if that's okay. Then it's your go. So here we go. So that, that, and then there is there, there, and then the other there, because there's two there's, isn't there? There, and finally then. So you can hear it's always this the at the front. So over to you. You'll go from the top then, if you can.
There, there,
Hmm.
then.
Ah, okay. I think your best one was the last one. Then.
Then,
That's good. That's good. You're really getting it. Making nice progress there. What I noticed, I think I missed you on the first one. I couldn't hear what you were
yeah,
saying. But
okay.
when you no, just for a sec. So these ones here, I think you did what the Germans do. So they started off. I put a gap there. They start off often they start with a Z sound and
Mm,
something like that. There,
mm-hmm,
or in particular, I think the word the can be I think it's just Z, isn't it, for the Germans? Yeah, Germans end up saying some of the time anyway, Z rather than
mm-hmm.
the. So there's lots of little cheats that people do, or sort of classic mistakes, maybe you could say. Um, yeah, so just be aware of that. So, but I definitely heard z at the front of these ones, there. But the thing about z is very similar to th. It's very similar, isn't it?
Yeah,
Very
yeah, it's
similar.
similar.
So,
Yeah,
so it's understandable, and
and
it's kind of understandable. But so I'll do it once again, and then it's your go again. So
yeah,
and put a bigger gap there, get rid of those words. So the first one is that, 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 and there. The other there. Then your go.
uh, that, there, there,
Hmm.
then.
Yeah, you really had the theirs just then. I thought that was good. I really hear it with you. That was good. That was good. Strangely, when you got to the then, I thought I could hear a Z.
Yeah,
Zen. It sounded like Zen.
then.
No, but that is really good. I think that is brilliant. That is very, very good. Considering some people take years to get this. No, that I'm very impressed. Well done. That's good. I suspect you have a bit of a skill learning languages and making
Yes.
sounds. Okay.
Yeah, you know
That's-
what? I would like to ask you about the sound of this and this, like plural and yeah,
Well, these two words,
yeah,
very
yeah.
similar.
These two words,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
This
That is tricky. Yeah. Again, that is
is
tricky.
yeah,
Yeah, and you're not the first person. So if I just say both of them from the top down, so those, those. So the O is making it's a long O. I'm sort of saying this name of the O. I'm saying O when I get to that. The O's, those. So those, and the bottom one,
those,
this, this, this.
this,
Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
this, those,
Oh, that's really clear. Yeah, that's very, very.
those, this.
You said a Z just then. That was definitely a Z at the front there, definitely. But it
Mm-hmm.
was, yeah, I could understand what you were saying anyway. You sounded very German doing that just
Mm-hmm.
then.
Mm,
Here,
yes.
is another word that we actually did have. So there we go. It's down the bottom one. So this is like having a theory. If you have a theory, this is another similar sort of word. So what's that word there then?
Theorem, theorem,
Oh, your first one was the best one. That's it. I think you're getting it. That's good.
a
So it,
theorem,
yeah,
yeah,
that's it. Yeah, yes. Theorem, theorem. That's it.
theorem.
Yeah, that's it. Well done. Um, so to complicate things a little bit, I'm trying to think. There's two types of th sound, and I think you're making both of them, but it's useful to understand what's happening. So you know when there's sometimes you know s and say z, they're quite similar in a way, s and z, aren't they? I mean they look vaguely sort of similar, but they make a similar sound, don't they? So s is s, whereas z is more. Let's see if I can get this correctly. Z. So
Mhm.
do you actually do you sort of know why they're different? You can probably make the sound, but do you not understand why they are different? The technical reason kind of a thing. What's happening in your throat and your mouth? Do you know what the difference is? What's happening? Any idea?
No, no, actually, I don't
Not
know.
really. Okay. Um, Well, so with the S, when everyone makes an S sound in the English way anyway, so it's you just really the air is coming out of the front of your mouth and all the sound is in the front of your mouth. That particular sound is created there with your lips and your tongue, I guess. Um, Whereas with the Z, you actually the sound is actually or meant to be coming more from your throat. So something in your throat is sort of vibrating, making that zizzy sort of a sound that Z has. And that's really the difference. If I just do both of them, try and think where the sound's coming from. Where does it sound like it's coming from even? So the S is sort of a sort of snaky sound. It's really on my tongue and my lips, I guess, or teeth. It's more on my teeth, I think, isn't it? Whereas the Z, it's Z. And if I put my hand on my throat, I can sort of feel my throat vibrating slightly. So if you did that, hopefully you'd find that too. And there's something similar in the THs as well. So there's a TH, which is sort of like the S, and it's just
Yeah.
on the lips. And there's a TH, which is sort of a little bit more, well, it's in the throat. It's more zizzy. Um, No, I forget the names of them. If I give you the names, it probably won't help. So let me give you the names anyway. So there's, what are the names now? Um, I forget what the names are. If I just type that in, two types of TH sound. Let's hope Google knows the answer, or Bing, I should say. This is Bing one for the moment here. So, do you want results only for two types of TH sound, three types of sound? What, so these symbols here are the symbols that relate to it, the two sort of symbols. So, but she's an American lady, so let's look down for an English version. So the two TH sounds in English, and technically those are the symbols they write down anyway. And it's on Google, isn't it? So let's click on that then. Oh, so oh, there we go. That's right. So it's what they call it, voiced and unvoiced. So this is a bit complicated, I know. So it reminds me also of how to do it. So I've just clicked on the YouTube video. Let's see what it says, and we'll quickly play if it's a short one. So there's someone called Billy, a lady I think called Billy English. So this is her introduction to this. It's 10 minutes long, so we won't be able to watch all of it, but hopefully she'll explain better than I can. As I say, there's two types. They basically are the same thing, but in for certain words you say one type of th, and I think you're actually doing it correctly, actually, sort of instinctively. Um, so it's taking forever to load up. So how do I make it full screen again? Well, I don't want full screen particularly, but so I've lost the top of the page. Where's play? Oh, there's play. Let's go for it then. Billy English, TH sounds.
Hi everybody. Today we want to have a look at the TH sounds in English. Whenever you see the spelling TH, that could be two different sounds. We have, first of all, th. This is the unvoiced TH sound.
That's just the lips at the front sort of thing. You
Or
see us sticking us stuck
you
out.
could have the voiced TH sound. Once again, the first one is unvoiced, and the second one is the voiced. And if you don't remember quite what unvoiced and voiced means, let's remind ourselves quickly. In your throat, you have vocal cords, two little vocal cords. You can see them in the diagram. I put two little lines here to show where they are. They're in your throat, and whenever you produce a sound that is voiced, your vocal cords vibrate, which means the sound is louder. And you can actually feel this. So if you put your hand very lightly on your throat and you say the, you can feel light vibration. It is very obvious when you say a vowel sound because all of the vowel sounds in English are voiced. So for example, a, e, you can feel vibration here. But if you say, for example, another unvoiced consonant, there's no vibration. It is silent here. The vocal cords are not vibrating, so we call this an unvoiced sound. So we have the two options, unvoiced or the voiced. Now, the movement of our articulators is exactly the same. So our lips, our jaw, and especially our tongue and our teeth move in the same way for both sounds. So let me show you how you make the sound. You can see my tongue is in between my teeth, and then I retract it very quickly. Or the voiced option, the. So practice a few times so that you become quicker. This is especially important if you do not have either of these sounds in your own first language. So your tongue will not be used to moving this way. The. I recommend you practice this at least 5 times for both of those sounds so that you become quicker before you start practicing words containing these sounds. So let's do this together.
Stop.
Yeah.
And
Oh, there we go. Eventually it stopped. Should say so. The and the. So
Yeah, and voice, it is usually vowel sounds, yeah?
yeah, that's right. I didn't really think about that before, but yeah, she's saying
Yeah,
all of vowels are voiced,
yeah,
so they all have that sort of slight trilling feeling in your throat. So when you're using those vocal cords, you will feel them. You feel them vibrating a little bit. The yeah. Well, yes, and yeah. And so these little symbols here are the sort of very technical symbols they use for those particular sounds that we're talking about, the TH sound. So they're a bit confusing, but just ignore them if they don't mean anything to you. And so that should be a D on the end. It looks like with a C on the end, but it should be a D, I think. Something's just gone missing a bit there. Did you fancy practicing that a little bit? So this one was the
yeah,
the quiet one.
yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Uh, uh,
The, yeah.
uh, the, 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 the. I can't really. It is difficult.
Well, it sounds
Uh,
like you're doing this one over here, the unvoiced one. That's what it
yeah,
sounds like. So if you sort of rest your hand against your throat, or just
yeah,
feel it in your throat naturally, you shouldn't feel any vibration there. But when you go over to the other, if you do the other one on the other side, that's the vibrating one, the one in your throat a bit more. So I was saying about the S and the Z. So the S is just on your lips, but the Z is much more in your throat. It's a voiced sound, as she is explaining. So do you want to try the voiced one, the sort of the more,
yeah.
the
And
more, yeah,
the, the,
yeah.
the,
That does sound, yeah, that
the,
sounds like the voiced one. Yeah, that's it. I think you've got that there. Yes, that's it. That's it. The. Um, and going back to our page that we were looking at, so the is normally voiced. The word the is
yeah,
voiced, where and other words are unvoiced. They're the quieter th. So I guess from top of my head, we had the word enthusiastic. The th there must be unvoiced. I'd have thought. I'd have guessed. So it is a bit complicated, but
yeah.
let's listen to the rest of what she says, maybe. So I think you're getting it, so don't worry. You are getting it.
Okay,
And
okay.
Oh, she's still
the.
practicing. Oh, that's
Very
this one.
good.
That's this one.
And if you find this difficult, I would encourage you to practice this every day. You will see it gets much quicker with every day that goes by and with more practice. Let's have a look now at some words containing these sounds. So, first of all, I want us to have a look at the unvoiced TH sound. And here are a couple of example words. Now you will notice that you probably know most of these words already. And maybe up until now you were a little bit tempted to say s instead of the. Now let's have a look at these words together. I'm going to say them. I want you to listen very carefully and then repeat them after me. Let's start. Think. Think, thought, thought, thank you, thank you, thing, thing, three, 13, 13, 30, 30, Thursday, Thursday. Very good. I know that the last three words can be a little bit difficult. So remember, 13, here the stress is also on the second syllable, not the first, but 30. Here the stress is on the first syllable. And the day of the week, Thursday. I know my students often get this confused with Tuesday. That is a different sound. This is a t sound, tu, but here we have Thursday, the day after Wednesday. Next, I want us to have a look at words with th at the end. And again, I think you know most of these words. These are very common words. Let's practice together. Listen and then repeat. Both, both, with, mouth, mouth. Very good. And then we have a couple of directions. North, north, south, south, and math, math. Now personally I think south is the most difficult out of all of these because you have a s and a th, and they are similar in the way they sound and the way we produce them, but they're not the same. So one more time. South, south. Very good. Next, let's have a look at some words containing the voiced TH sound, the. And again, I think you know all of these words. The is a little bit easier, so let's practice together. The. Remember, sometimes the direct article could also be pronounced the, especially in front of words that start with another vowel sound, like, for example, the evening, the hour. There, they, then, this, these. The difference between the last two words is a short I and a long E sound. Let's do those again. This, short I, but these, long E. Well done. If you want to find out a little bit more about long and short vowel sounds, make sure you have a look at my other video. Here you can see
some other words. So we could carry on. Is that useful?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Do you want to go back to some of those words to practice them or anything? So if I go back a
Yeah,
couple.
we can. Yeah, we can. Hello?
So there's these ones. Do you fancy doing these ones? From the top,
Uh,
maybe?
okay. Uh, the, there, they, then, did, this.
Yes. Okay, that's nice. Yes. Your S at the end was a bit quiet on this word, on the this. Yeah. Because I think I think most people do. You do sort. It's almost like it's the word is, I should say, not is. It's
Uh,
almost like the word is on the end. So it's almost like a the and then an is. I think that might be where the word originally came from. The and is were put together to get this. So
this,
try it again. So this.
this. One second.
Mhm.
This,
Yeah, that's spot
this,
on. That is it. And maybe the bottom one again. Now the bottom one.
this. No, uh,
The
this.
so you're constantly saying this top one here. So
Yeah,
with the often when there's an e on the end of a word, but not always, but often when there's an e there, it makes that e or that whatever letter is there say the name, its name sort of thing. So is a letter e, isn't it? So because there's an
yeah.
e there, it makes that e say an e. So it would be the e these. So in other words, it becomes a long e. That's what I'm trying to say. So when I say the name of the letter, that's what I mean. So that is called an E, and so I'm sort of saying THE. So these. I'm not explaining myself very well. So does that make sense a little bit?
This, this,
Yeah.
yeah,
These.
probably.
Try again. These. These.
This, this,
It's a little bit like this one up here. You're still doing this one, I think. Because
yeah.
I'm sort of saying an E. When I get to there, I'm actually saying E. There is an E, and I'm saying E. But when I'm doing this other word here, this, it's sort
This,
of it's an I. It's more of an I sound.
yeah,
When I
yeah,
come
it
down to
is.
here, I'm saying the name of that letter, which is E, or something like it. It's not
No,
exactly it, but so the E's, these, yeah, these. So this, and then
this,
these.
this,
You'll get it.
this,
You'll get it. You'll get it.
this, 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 this. No.
You'll get it. I think we've been at it for too long because we've been at it for over an hour, and it's very tiring.
Yeah.
I think only we can only take in a certain amount in any one sort of half a day. I think really. So if you waited 6 hours, you'll probably be all refreshed and raring to go. I'm sure. So and it gets a bit confusing. And I think it's just too much for us, really, isn't it? So, but she's quite good, I must say. So maybe
Yeah.
if I try to close this page, I always forget how to close pages. Here we go. Yes, that was very good. Thank you very much. So that was Billy English on her website there. So yeah, that's very good, I thought. Um, okay, so maybe we'll call it a day there. So we've done quite a
Yeah,
bit of reading. This is that's the name of the book and the writer, and this is where we ended. It's a very interesting story, I find. Uh,
yeah,
and I
it
think you
is
do
true.
too. I find it very interesting. Oh, there was just one
Yeah.
other thing I wanted to mention. And so uh, so this where my cursor is now, this is the name of a city in is it Brazil? I keep forgetting. I forget where it is actually. So so it's not an obvious name, and it's sort of we sort of say it the pretty in a way that they say it in their country. This is in Latin America, and it's mainly said as Buenos Aires. Buenos Aires.
Buenos Aires.
Yeah, you've got it better than I have actually, and they've also got an apostrophe up there, so it's Buenos Aires is on the end. There's like an extra
Mm,
S there. Buenos Aires is arenas, arenas. Okay, so just to finish that off, maybe.
yeah.
So next week,
Arenas. Yeah, arenas. It is last one of what I want to ask you. Arenas.
yeah.
It is like areas. Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Arena.
a reason I mentioned that was because when you read it out, you said something like areas, but not really,
Ah.
no. So if I just find a blank page here, so let's put it in the dictionary maybe. No, let's put it in here. So it's arena, arena. So an arena is sort of a place where you want to show something. You go into an arena. If you've ever been to a circus, they sometimes have an arena. So it's often a circle and they perform on this ground in front of everybody. That is the arena where they're performing. So I can find a picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
a
Okay.
football ground doesn't
Yeah.
really have an arena, but it is similar. So these are all photographs of arenas here, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
Arena.
So
Okay.
this looks like a
Okay.
classic arena here. It looks like
Yeah.
ice hockey or
Yeah.
something. So they often have
Yeah.
sort of a roundy shape somehow. That's true, thinking about it. So there might be a running track in there. There might be people running around in there. But it wouldn't normally be a football ground, although effectively it is a kind of arena. But they just don't call them football grounds are not normally called arenas. Sometimes a boxing match, people boxing, punching,
Mhm.
they do that in an arena. This looks like in a boxing match here somehow, but perhaps it isn't, I'm guessing now. So there we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that was arena. So is it okay if we finish off here? We call it a day?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. It is nice. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you a lot for this lesson. Yeah. It was
Okay,
very useful for me. Yeah. Thank you.
okay. And next week we'll have the next story. We'll
Yeah.
move
It is
along. We'll
going
move
to
along.
be. It is probably articles. Yeah. You mean or next story from this book.
Next story from the book is this one here.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
So the
okay.
songs of Maladora. I would guess
Yeah.
that is.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
And I've not
Okay.
read it. I've no idea what it's like.
Uh,
So it'd be very interesting.
but before Monday, you will post, yeah, this
Yes.
on a
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, I'll
Okay,
try
I
and do
will.
that. Yes.
Yeah, I will try to be prepared. If I will come to Monday, I will. I will try to read after you
Okay. Yeah.
when you post it. Yeah.
That's very
Thank you.
good. Okay. So see you again then. See you next time,
Yeah.
hopefully.
See you again. See you. Have a nice
Okay.
evening. Bye.
Same to you.
Thanks.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Yeah.